The first time Liam heard the crying, he thought it was coming from the television next door. Thin little sobs drifting through the walls at 2 in the morning. But when he checked the time, every house on Barwon Street was dark except his own. And the strange part was, the crying sounded like it was coming from inside his house. Liam Mercer lived alone in a weatherboard rental on the edge of Geelong, 20 minutes from the waterfront, tucked between aging fibro homes and overgrown gum trees that scratched the roof every windy night. He was 34, worked maintenance at a private school in Belmont, and kept mostly to himself after the divorce. The place was quiet when he moved in, too quiet. His neighbor Ron changed that. Ron lived across the driveway in a faded brick unit with rusted security screens and a cigarette permanently hanging from his mouth. 70 years old, ex-dock worker, the kind of bloke who noticed everything. 3 weeks after Liam moved in, Ron stopped him beside the bins one Tuesday morning. "You right, mate?" Liam shrugged. "Yeah. Why?" Ron hesitated. "That kid all right in there?" Liam laughed once. "What kid?" Ron didn't smile back. "The little one crying all bloody night." Liam stared at him. "I don't have a kid." Ron looked genuinely unsettled then. Not confused. Unsettled. "Could sworn I heard one." Liam brushed it off at first. Old bloke hearing things. Thin walls. Nearby houses. But that night, lying in bed with rain hammering the roof, he heard it himself. A child crying. Faint somewhere near the hallway. Liam sat upright instantly. The sound stopped. He waited, heart thumping nothing. He grabbed his phone torch and checked every room. Lounge kitchen. Laundry. Empty. He even looked inside the built-in wardrobe like an idiot. Nothing there. Still, he barely slept. Over the next week, the crying came back 3 more times. Always after midnight. Always brief. A minute at most. And always from inside the house. By Friday, Liam was exhausted enough to start questioning himself. He'd been under pressure at work. His ex-wife, Chloe, had remarried 6 months earlier. He drank more than he admitted. Maybe Ron had planted the idea in his head. Then Ron knocked on his door at 1:13 in the morning. Liam opened it half asleep. Ron looked pale. "You hearing that?" The crying echoed again, this time louder. A little girl. Liam felt every hair rise on his arms. Ron stepped inside without waiting. They stood silently in the dark hallway, listening to it bounce softly through the house. Then it stopped. Ron slowly turned toward the spare bedroom. "That room," he whispered. Liam frowned. "What about it?" Ron looked like he regretted speaking. "The family before you." A heavy silence settled between them. They had a daughter. Lam stared at him. "What happened?" Ron rubbed his jaw nervously. "They disappeared." Liam laughed again, but weaker this time. "What do you mean disappeared?" "Just gone one day. Mom, Dad, little girl. Police came around asking questions for weeks." And Ron swallowed. "Never found them." The room suddenly felt colder. "That's not funny, mate." "I'm not joking." Ron left soon after, muttering something about getting no sleep in this street anymore. Liam locked the door behind him and stood there listening to the silence. The spare bedroom sat half open at the end of the hallway, empty except for stacked moving boxes he still hadn't unpacked. He walked toward it slowly. The floorboards creaked beneath him. Then he noticed something strange. A smell, not rot, not mold. Something metallic. He reached for the light switch. Nothing happened. The bulb had blown. "Perfect," he muttered. Using his phone torch, he stepped inside. The room looked normal at first glance. Bare walls, dust, boxes. Then the torch beam caught scratch marks along the inside of the wardrobe door. Long vertical lines, like someone had clawed at it from the inside. Liam's stomach tightened. He moved closer carefully and pulled the wardrobe open. But, taped to the back wall, was a child's drawing, a house, 3 stick figures, and one sentence written in shaky red crayon. Het. Let US leave. Liam stared at it, frozen. Then behind him, somewhere deep inside the house, a little girl whispered softly, "Dad?" Liam spun around, so fast he nearly dropped his phone. The hallway outside the spare room was empty. But he knew he'd heard it, not imagined it. Not the pipes, not the wind, a little girl's voice close enough to feel the breath behind the word. Dad? His pulse slammed against his throat. He stepped into the hallway, phone torch shaking in his grip. Hello? Nothing answered. Rain hammered the windows harder now, branches scraping across the roof like fingernails. Somewhere outside, Ron's screen door banged shut. Liam looked back at the drawing taped inside the wardrobe. The red crayon looked fresh, too fresh, like it had been written yesterday. He grabbed it carefully and noticed something folded behind it, a newspaper clipping. Missing family, still unfound. After 8 months. The photo showed a smiling couple standing beside a little blonde girl outside the Geelong Botanic Gardens. Liam recognized the woman instantly. Not from real life, from a framed photo tucked inside a kitchen drawer when he first moved in. He'd assumed it belonged to the previous tenants and forgotten about it. Now his stomach dropped. The article mentioned the father by name, Ethan Voss. Liam froze, because he'd heard that name before. 2 months earlier, when signing the lease, the real estate agent had accidentally called the property the Voss place, before awkwardly correcting herself. At the time, he thought nothing of it. Now every tiny detail came flooding back, the agent rushing him through the inspection, the cheap rent, the way she avoided eye contact when he asked why the last tenants left suddenly. A loud knock nearly made him jump out of his skin. Ron stood at the front door again, drenched from the rain. You need to come see something. Lamb followed him outside onto the driveway. Water streamed along the gutters under the orange streetlights. Ron pointed toward Liam's bedroom window. From outside, faint handprints covered the inside of the glass. Tiny handprints, child-sized. Liam stepped back instinctively. No, he whispered. Ron looked terrified now. That wasn't there before. The handprints slowly slid downward, as if someone inside the room was dragging their hands down the window. Liam ran back into the house. The bedroom door was still open from earlier. The room was empty, but the window, wet streaks crawled down the inside of the glass. His breathing became shallow. Someone's messing with me. Ron stayed near the doorway, clearly debating whether to leave. You ever heard of Ethan Voss? Liam asked suddenly. Ron's face changed instantly. Not surprise, fear. Jesus Christ. What? Ron rubbed his face hard. You need to understand something, mate. The cops thought Ethan killed them. Liam stared at him. The wife and daughter? Ron nodded slowly. But there was never blood, never bodies, just gone. What happened to him? Ron hesitated too long. What happened to him, Ron? He disappeared too. Silence filled the room. Then Liam noticed Ron staring past him, toward the hallway, his face drained completely. Mate. Liam turned slowly. At the end of the hallway stood a little girl, maybe 7 years old, blonde hair, pink pajamas, one hand clutching the wall. Liam couldn't breathe. She looked real, not transparent, not ghostly, real. Her eyes locked onto his. Then she whispered something barely audible. He's downstairs. The lights died instantly. The entire house dropped into darkness. Ron swore loudly somewhere beside him. Liam's phone torch flickered wildly. Then came a sound underneath them, a heavy thud, directly below the floorboards. Both men froze. Another thud followed, then scraping, like furniture dragging slowly beneath the house. Ron grabbed Liam's arm hard. This house doesn't have a basement. The scraping stopped. Limpid silence. Then a man's voice echoed from somewhere underneath them. Low, calm, almost conversational. You shouldn't have come back. Liam's blood turned cold, because the voice sounded exactly like his own. Ron stumbled backwards first. Mate, nah, I'm done. He bolted for the front door, so quickly he nearly slipped on the tiles. Liam followed, heart smashing against his ribs, but the front door wouldn't budge. The handle twisted. The lock clicked. But something on the other side held it shut. Ron slammed his shoulder into it. "Open, you bastard!" Another thud came from beneath the floorboards, closer this time. The house groaned softly around them. Liam backed away from the door, trying to think. None of this made sense. The little girl, the voice, the handprints. He kept forcing himself toward logical explanations, but logic was slipping away minute by minute. Then the lights came back. The hallway was empty again. No little girl, no movement. Only silence. Ron breathed heavily, sweat running down his temples despite the cold. "I heard him," he whispered. "Tell me you heard him too." Before Liam could answer, his phone buzzed in his pocket. Unknown number. He stared at it. Ron shook his head instantly. "Don't answer that." The phone kept vibrating. Liam finally pressed accept and lifted it slowly to his ear. For 3 seconds, there was only static. Then a woman whispered, "Check under the house." The line disconnected. Liam looked at Ron. Neither of them spoke. 10 minutes later, they stood outside in the rain, beside the side access hatch beneath the house. A rusted metal panel half hidden behind weeds. Ron held a torch now. "You seriously want to do this?" Liam already knew the answer. He pulled the hatch open. The smell hit immediately. Damp earth, rust, and something else underneath it. Something old. The crawl space was barely high enough to crouch through. Timber beams stretched into darkness beneath the house. Ron aimed the torch inside. Fresh mud tracks led inward, not footprints. Drag marks. Liam felt sick. "Someone's been down there," Ron muttered. "Bugger this." But Liam was already crawling inside. The deeper he went, the colder the air became. Dirt pressed beneath his palms. Pipes rattled overhead every time rainwater flowed through them. Then his torch caught something ahead. A small chair, children's size, positioned beneath the center of the house. Liam stopped breathing for a second. The chair faced a wall covered in drawings, hundreds of them, crayon drawings pinned to timber beams. Families, houses, a man with black circles for eyes. The same sentence written again and again. "Want, let us leave." Ron crawled up behind him and swore under his breath. "What the hell is this?" Liam noticed dates scribbled onto some drawings. Years after the Voss family disappeared. His chest tightened. "That's impossible." Then he saw the camera, mounted between 2 beams, pointed directly at the chair, still recording. A tiny red light blinked softly. Someone had been watching this place. Recently, Liam reached for it carefully, when a voice suddenly echoed through the crawl space. "Don't touch that." Both men flinched violently. A figure stood near the far corner beneath the house. Tall, motionless, half hidden in darkness. The torch beam shook across his face. Liam's stomach dropped instantly. It was him, same height, same beard, same eyes, like staring into a broken mirror. Ron whispered, horrified, "Jesus Christ." The man smiled faintly. "You finally found it." Liam's mind reeled. "This isn't funny. Who the hell are you?" The man ignored the question. Instead, he looked directly at Ron. "You should have stayed quiet." Ron suddenly went pale, not confused, guilty. Liam turned toward him slowly. "What's he talking about?" Ron couldn't meet his eyes. The copy of Liam stepped forward calmly. "He never told you, did he, Ron?" Liam said sharply. Ron's breathing became uneven. "I didn't have a choice." The words barely came out. Liam stared at him. "What choice?" Ron looked seconds away from collapsing. That family, they didn't disappear. Silence swallowed the crawl space. Rain hammered above them. Liam felt cold all over. The other man smiled again. And then Ron whispered the sentence that made Liam's entire world tilt sideways. "You used to live here before them." Liam laughed instinctively, a short, broken sound. "What are you talking about?" Ron looked shattered, standing there beneath the house, torch trembling in his hands. "You disappeared 3 years ago." The words hung in the crawl space like poison. Liam stared at him blankly. "No, I moved here 8 weeks ago." "That's what they told you." The other man, the one with Liam's face, watched silently from the shadows. Liam backed away from both of them. This is a setup. His voice cracked now. A sick joke. Ron swallowed hard. Your name's not Liam Mercer. Every nerve in Liam's body screamed at him to leave, but his legs wouldn't move. Ron pulled something slowly from his jacket pocket. An old driver license sealed inside a plastic sleeve. He handed it over carefully. The photo showed Liam. Not similar, not close, exactly him. But the name read, Ethan Voss, issue date. 4 years earlier. Liam's hands started shaking violently. No. The memory hit suddenly, not fully. Fragments. A woman laughing beside ocean cliffs. A little blonde girl asleep in the back seat of a car. Blood on a sink. Someone screaming. He grabbed his head hard. What did you do to me? Ron's eyes filled with regret. I helped them. Them who? But deep down, Liam already knew. The other version of him stepped forward into full light. Except now Liam noticed the differences. The man looked older, thinner, exhausted. Deep scars ran beneath his collarbone, not identical, worn down, like someone who'd survived something horrific. You're not Ethan, the man said quietly. You're what's left of him. Liam couldn't breathe properly anymore. You're insane. No, the man replied. You are. The crawlspace suddenly felt impossibly tight. Ron sat heavily against one of the beams, like his strength had vanished. You had a breakdown after Sophie died. The little girl, the crying, Liam, Ethan, staggered backwards. No, you blamed Claire, Ron continued shakily. You thought she was cheating. You became obsessed, angry all the time. Then your daughter drowned at Eastern Beach while you were supposed to be watching her. The world tilted violently. Water, tiny arms, a pink flotation ring drifting away. Liam squeezed his eyes shut. No. You snapped after the funeral, Ron whispered. Started hearing Sophie crying at night. Started talking to yourself. The other man finally spoke again. He created me. Liam looked up slowly. What? You couldn't live with what happened. So your mind split in two. Ron nodded weakly. The doctors called it dissociative identity disorder. Liam's stomach turned. No. The violent side became Ethan, the man said calmly. The part full of rage, paranoia, obsession, and Liam, he whispered. The part trying to escape. Memories exploded through him now in brutal flashes, punching holes in walls. Claire crying in the kitchen. Sophie hiding behind a doorway, terrified of him. Then blood, so much blood. Liam collapsed onto his knees, gasping. No, no, no. Ron started crying quietly. Claire tried to leave you. Liam looked up slowly. Ron could barely say the next words. You killed her. Everything stopped, every sound, every thought. The rain above disappeared into silence. Liam's mouth opened, but nothing came out. The other man crouched in front of him now. You buried her beneath the house. Liam felt his entire body go numb. And Sophie? He whispered. The man's expression finally cracked with pain. She saw everything. Liam broke completely then. Tears poured down his face as memories tore through him like blades. Claire begging him to calm down, the shove, her head hitting the kitchen bench, Sophie screaming, the panic afterward, the digging, God, the digging. I tried to stop you, the other man whispered. That's why I exist. Ron wiped his face roughly. We helped cover it up. Me and 2 others. We thought you were losing your mind completely. You drugged me, Liam whispered. Ron looked away. We gave you a new identity. Treatment. Told everyone Ethan disappeared with his family. Liam stared at them in horror. You let me live here. We thought it might bring your memories back slowly, safely. A sudden loud crack echoed above them. All 3 men froze. Footsteps crossed the floorboards overhead. Heavy, slow, not possible, because nobody else was supposed to be inside the house. Then a little girl's voice drifted softly through the timber above them. Daddy. Liam's blood froze solid, because this time the voice wasn't in his head. And the other version of him looked terrified too. The footsteps above them stopped directly over the crawl space. Silence followed, the kind that crushes your chest. Ron looked physically ill now. There's nobody up there, But nobody believed that anymore. Liam pushed himself upright slowly, wiping tears from his face with muddy hands. His entire body felt hollow. Every memory had returned in violent fragments, and none of them left room for innocence. Claire's blood on the kitchen tiles, Sophie screaming, the sound of dirt hitting timber. The other version of himself stood motionless nearby, watching him carefully like a dangerous animal. "You said Sophie saw everything," Liam whispered. The man nodded once. "So, where is she?" Nobody answered. Then came the crying again. Not faint anymore. A little girl sobbing somewhere directly above them. Ron panicked first. He scrambled backwards toward the crawlspace entrance. "We need to get out." But Liam was already moving. He crawled out from beneath the house and stumbled into the hallway upstairs. The crying echoed from the spare bedroom. Same room, same darkness. The wardrobe door now stood open by itself. Ron appeared behind him, breathing hard. "Mate, don't." Liam ignored him and stepped inside. The metallic smell was overwhelming now. His hands trembled as he pulled the wardrobe fully aside. Behind it, hidden beneath old wallpaper, sat a narrow wooden hatch built into the wall. Ron swore softly. "You never found it?" Liam asked. Ron looked horrified. "We searched the whole bloody house." The crying stopped instantly. Complete silence. Liam opened the hatch. Cold air spilled out. A cramped hidden cavity stretched between the walls, barely large enough for a child, and inside it sat a tiny pink backpack covered in mold. Ron staggered backwards. "Oh Christ!" Liam slowly pulled the bag out. Inside was a child's shoe, a small stuffed rabbit, and bones, tiny human bones. The world seemed to collapse inward. Ron started sobbing openly now. "No, no, no. We buried Claire under the house. Sophie wasn't there." Liam couldn't hear him properly anymore, because memories were returning completely now. Not fragments. Truth, the night Claire died, Sophie had run and hidden while Ethan panicked downstairs beside Claire's body. He'd searched the house, screaming her name for hours, convinced she'd escaped outside. But she hadn't. She hid inside the wall cavity, alone, terrified. And nobody found her, not the police, not Ron, not even Ethan. The crying every night, the handprints, the voice. She'd never left the house. Ron collapsed onto the floor, shaking uncontrollably. "We thought she vanished." Liam stared at the tiny bones in silence. Then slowly, he looked toward the other version of himself standing in the doorway. Except now the man looked weaker somehow, fading. "You're not real, are you?" Liam asked quietly. The man gave a sad smile. "I'm the part of you that couldn't accept what you did." Liam nodded slowly through tears. The truth settled into him like ice. There had never been two people. No conspiracy, no hidden stalker, just a shattered mind, trying to survive unbearable guilt. The crying stopped completely. For the first time since moving into the house, the silence felt natural, peaceful. Liam walked past Ron without another word and stepped outside into the rain. Police lights flashed across Barwon Street, 20 minutes later after Ron finally made the call. Neighbors watched from windows while officers flooded the property. Liam sat silently on the curb, soaked to the bone. One detective approached carefully. "Sir, are you Ethan Voss?" Liam stared at the wet street for a long moment. Then he nodded once. "Yes." The detective crouched beside him gently. "We're gonna need a statement." Liam looked back toward the house, toward the spare bedroom window, and for a split second, he saw Sophie standing there in pink pajamas, holding her rabbit against her chest, not crying anymore, just watching him quietly. Then she was gone. Liam closed his eyes. After 3 years of running from himself, the truth had finally done what the police never could. It found him.